the Lavender Witch, and the Captain. Captain Debelf, known to his love as David, awoke. The sterile, silent quarters of his starship felt wrong, yet deeply familiar. He donned his starship fleet uniform, the dark blue material, a stark contrast to the expected chaos of the day ahead. He knew Earth's future rested on his shoulders. He descended to the main floor. The light was warmer here, scented not of ozone and steel, but of thyme and cardamom. Kelvin, his Lavender Witch, was already at the stove, the deep purples of her shawl blending beautifully with the aged wood and bubbling pots of the cottage kitchen. "Morning, my love," she murmured, turning with a steaming cup. "I've made you a witchy breakfast for a warrior's stomach. On your way to the summit, could you drop me in Salem? The warlocks have a critical gathering." "Of course, darling," David replied, kissing her forehead. They finished their meal in comfortable silence, the universal language of two people bound by impossibly different worlds. Soon, they were boarding the massive, cobalt blue hull of the Blue Dominion battlecruiser. The ship arrived silently over the ancient, spectral coastline of Salem, a final, prolonged kiss, their usual promise of return. "See you soon, my darling," she whispered. "Enjoy, dear," he replied. "I'll pick you up next week." Kelvin, the Lavender Witch, gripped her enchanted broom. With a wink, she flew out of the airlock, leaving the cold science behind for the warmth of ancestral magic, landing gracefully by a centuries-old, gnarled black tree. David then activated his Kineostream thrusters, setting a course for the Swiss Alps. The Blue Dominion was a mountain of steel when it landed outside the NATO building. David, small in comparison to his technological titan, emerged via the docking lift. He walked into the hall, ready to face the world leaders who held no magic, only greed and fear. Hours blurred into an exhausting argument. Every nation, every leader, demanded his stellar technology to defend themselves, to travel the stars. They fought with words sharper than any Augusta missile. Reluctantly, David agreed to share some of his gifts. But David Debelf knew humans too well. He only released the older T5 blueprint, robust, powerful, but limited. The truly revolutionary T6 technology remained hidden, a secret kept only by the stars and the captain, who knew trust was a luxury he could not afford to governments. Soon, the skies were crowded with human-made T5 dreadnoughts, silver titans armed with photon cannons and cyclone shields. A test war on an empty island proved their destructive power. Impressed, humanity celebrated its newfound might. David, finally finished, retreated to his dominion and fell into a sleep pod, dreaming of lavender and quiet magic. Meanwhile, back in Salem, Kelvin stood at the foot of the ancient black tree, leaving a lavender candle to pay her respects to the witches of old who were lost there long ago. With a gentle push of her broom, she flew off towards the mystical warlock complex. Kelvin entered the granite halls of the warlock complex and was greeted by 8 cloaked male warlocks. The meeting began immediately, the air thick with the scent of old magic and nervous ambition. The warlocks explained that they had found a man claiming to be the Warlock Omega, possessing insane power, more than all of them combined. He is an immediate, incalculable threat to the ethereal realm, they insisted. Kelvin's eyes flashed with purple light. Impossible! Testosterone is a known inhibitor of the ethereal realm. The Omega is just a story for flaccid little boys. You'll simply never rise to my level of supreme magic. The chamber door burst open, and in swept Myrtle, the Fire Witch, in her magnificent fire-horse-drawn carriage. "Kelvin, darling, I'd like to see this alleged Warlock Omega myself," she declared. They boarded the fiery wagon and set off towards the mountain. As the carriage climbed, Myrtle offered Kelvin a lovely charcuterie, which she graciously accepted. "Un emtas realite, darling," Myrtle whispered, her voice serious. "This feels like a trap. Don't be blind to true dark power." They arrived at the Summit Mansion. Inside, they found the Omega, Alistair, radiating cold power. Kelvin's focus was on a strange symbol on the wall, a sigil of chaos she did not recognize. "The mark of the Antichrist," Myrtle screamed. Before the word left her lips, Alistair attacked, launching a dark, chilling pulse that slammed Myrtle across the room, knocking the fire witch unconscious. Kelvin engaged hard, battling the Antichrist with a swirling torrent of lavender, nature, white, and dark magic. But Alistair parried every spell. He was an overwhelming force. Kelvin could not win alone. Myrtle woke with a fiery gasp, trapping the Antichrist in a burning, inescapable ring of orange flame. Kelvin was instantly encased in purple lavender fire. She shouted, "I love it hot, hot, hot!" A massive purple wildfire burst out from Kelvin, fusing with Myrtle's ring. The battle was over. The Antichrist was dust, just a pile of glowing hot embers. The victorious witches then returned to the complex and severely punished the 8 manipulative warlocks. The next day, the Blue Dominion arrived in Salem, Captain David Debolf's blue battleship, a silent promise of home. Kelvin said goodbye to Myrtle, then boarded the starship with David, leaving the world of magic for the quiet eternity of the stars.